Hey everyone, it's LS, and I'm joined by FUDGE to do the first patch rundown of Season 12, and this is a lot to unpack, or at least lack thereof. So, everyone knows that preseason was pretty lackluster from the patch changes. There was basically no real meta changes that were happening inside of solo queue, outside of very, very few things. But it wasn't things that were specifically put forth by Riot. Obviously, we had the dragon changes, but besides that, there wasn't anything super impactful that ended up coming out. I think that Crown was obviously very overhyped, especially given that it only slots in on a certain few champions. There are a lot of marksman champions that are taking it in hyper-specific situations, but those are often marksman champions that are able to make use of the AP ratios and other types of things, or ones that already sort of lack a mythic in themselves. But patch 12.1 notes, we are going to just jump right into this one, and yes, the image that you are seeing on your screen is absolutely correct. There's only 2 buffs and 4 system nerfs. Fudge, what do you think about this?
I think Riot did a great job based on what I'm seeing so far, and I can't wait to see the massive changes they have brought in this.
Yeah. All right, well, okay, here we go. So, Elderwood Gnar and Elderwood Rek'Sai are going to be available on January 6th, 2022. Now, there is something else that we are going to comment at the end of this. There are apparently... So, on Twitter, I got these patch notes about 6 hours before a tweet that went out by Riot that says that there's actually 2 nerf champions on this patch. One is Sona and one is Rek'Sai. So, I feel like whoever decided to do the last-minute Rek'Sai nerf didn't get the memo that a skin's going out this patch. So, a bit counterintuitive there. But anyways, Diana... Passive AP ratio and monster damage ratio increased. Many have come to enjoy Diana Jungle since our changes earlier this year, even while she's been distinctly underpowered. While putting some of the power back into the role, we're giving her a bit of a buff so that she can use in mid. Okay. AP ratio 40% to 50%, monster damage 250 to 300%. So I immediately think that this just makes Diana come back into jungle.
Yeah. I think this, they're trying to like make it so that it's also a somewhat buff mid lane, but this is really not going to make Diana mid a thing in almost any game. You're always going to pick at jungle, and I think that the 50% monster damage is going to be really good. Also, the scaling obviously is nice, but I think mainly the monster damage is what's going to make it come back into the jungle.
Yeah, and with her immediately returning to jungle, I mean, I think that's sort of a good news. Obviously, there's been changes to some of the jungle camps that has happened in recent patches that I think actually only favors Diana, especially with a lot of the champions that ended up getting negatively influenced by those types of things. So overall, I think it is really good for Diana. This is a change that does immediately pole vault a champion back into the ability to be a competitive pick. And for those that don't really remember when Diana was gaining a lot of traction, she was a menace in solo queue in terms of clear speed and just how miserable it was to try to play against her because of the aforementioned clear speed and because she matched up against a lot of champions inside of the game very well. So overall, I think that this is a very positive buff, and it's good that we get another champion inside of the jungle.
Yeah, I always like AP junglers in general because then I can play 80 carries in mid lane, so that's good.
All right, okay. Gangplank. So
let me talk about this. Okay?
Go ahead.
Q mana cost and cooldown reduced. Okay, Gangplank's parley is not as powerful. Great joke there, right? Great joke. Humorous. 40-year-old Rioters. After Grasp was nerfed on him, so we're letting him use it more often. Unbelievable. Great work. Okay, mana cost is down at 5 every level, so basically it's going to be done. You're going to get, like, what? An extra Q every 12... How many Qs? My math is not very good. Is it 12 Qs?
12 if it's at rank 1, yeah. If you cast 12 Qs in lane before hitting level 3.
Yes, you get an extra Q. The cooldown is down by 1 second, which is actually really good.
That's actually massive.
Yes. So, Gangplank is going to be definitely played a lot more, I think, but because of this buff, also especially in competitive, I think people are going to play Gangplank a lot more. Even though I think it was already able to be played, people are just going to start, like pro players, like whenever they see these sort of buffs, they will just start playing it way more, and then it'll gain more traction, basically. So I expect Gangplank to actually be played in competitive because of these changes.
So I completely agree. I mean, I think both of these changes that we've had, Diana and Gangplank, are both going to be aimed at competitive. Obviously, Diana is going to be a menace in solo queue, but Gangplank, I mean, these changes are just way too massive. Because don't forget, he already got aid after Grasp was nerfed, right? Riot went in and actually gave him some more help, and now they're giving him even more help. And to my knowledge, they still haven't fixed the crit bug on him, right?
I'm not sure exactly what the crit bug is.
It's something with his barrel, but anyways, I mean, aside from that, he's just getting a lot of love. He's very good. He's still a monster with his R late game. He just makes it really, really, really difficult for opponents to play. And Gangplank, with the way that everything is also shaping up, I mean, he's a champion that's able to go mid. He's able to go top lane, well, mid, depending on some matchups, and he's just a really strong champion. So these buffs absolutely can't be understated. Okay, items. So Eclipse, despite being weak overall, Eclipse was the strongest lethality mythic before preseason. We overdid its buffs in 11.23, so we're partially reverting those. These changes apply to Orin Masterwork item. Okay. So Ever Rising Moon cooldown. Melee 6 seconds to 8 seconds.
I mean, it hurts. It hurts the melees when they're like deep in combat. Like, if you're actually extending a fight to where you get 2 procs, but I don't think it's that common you get 2 procs, especially on the assassins that build it. I don't think it's that common that you actually get 2 procs of it, like over 6 seconds. Except for like when you're ahead, I guess, and you're able to live long enough. But I mean, it hurts slightly. I don't think it's gonna really change when it's built though.
Force of Nature is the next item. Force of Nature's payout was a bit too hard to reach due to the stack duration. It's also a bit weaker than its counterpart, Spirit Visage. So naturally, we're adding in more Force to make him a heavy magic resist item. So Absorb stack duration is 5 to 7. Dissipate magic damage reduction 20 to 25%. So the problem with Force of Nature is that unless the enemy team really has a lot of magic, and you do benefit getting the item in some manner, right? Normally, you just don't go it. There's other magic resist items that you'll end up going, whether it be Silvermere Dawn, or it is actually just Spirit Visage, or you do pick up Maw Malmortius, or you just build HP items, right? You don't actually build Force of Nature. You're getting some other sorts of items. So these buffs are really nice, but the situations where Force of Nature does get built does require really specific conditions. And obviously, when those conditions are met, I already thought Force of Nature was really good, so now it's just going to be even better.
Yeah, it's just going to be even better on the tanks that build it against really heavy magic damage comps, basically. But it's never going to be like a always buy this item sort of thing. It's not going to be a big change, I would say.
Okay, Immortal Shieldbow. So the attack damage is 55 to 50, lifeline shield 300 to 800 based on level, 275 to 650. So 150 in the later stages of the game. The thing that I'm going to say about this is a lot of people are going to probably overreact to this nerf on the 580 missing. What I will say is that outside of lane graves that goes Immortal Shieldbow, I think every 80 carry or every champion that's building Shieldbow to sustain, not really going to care about it all that much. This is also a nerf to Yone, and this is even a nerf to Yasuo as well. So I guess you can talk about it in that regard, but you're still building Shieldbow to build Shieldbow, because oftentimes the whole thing about Shieldbow when you're playing against it is the opponent thinks to themselves, oh, they have Shieldbow. Like, basically, it's going to add one extra combo rotation needed to kill you, regardless of the HP that they just removed. So rarely is the 580 going to really come into effect, and it shouldn't be something that's over-exaggerated. I mean, you're still going to go Shieldbow in situations where it's correct to go Shieldbow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there might be some games where you're going to build, like, Gale Force or Kraken on certain ADs over Shieldbow because of the change, but I don't think it's going to be, like, a common thing to buy Gale Force or Kraken over Shieldbow still. I still think Shieldbow is a really, really good item regardless. It was, honestly, in my opinion, pretty overtuned before, especially on very helpful for all the AD carries, so I just think this makes it like slightly less overtuned, but I still think it's quite strong, so I think it should still be pretty much a staple.
Yeah. And now for the final item that's being changed, Witch Send has been a powerful as an early defensive and offensive option for attack speed champions. However, considering its threat as a DPS item, its build path and stats counter magic damage a bit too much too early. True. Build path has been changed from Hearthbound Axe Negatron Longsword 750 to Hearthbound Axe Null Magic Mantle Pickaxe plus 675. Total gold cost is unchanged. Magic resist is just outright down by 10. Witch End is still a really good item. This is very similar to Shieldbow, But yes, it does lose a bit of its power. But in the lanes where you're rushing it first, in order to hard win the lane, you're still rushing it first.
Yeah, you're still gonna win certain matches because you have the item, but it still does suck. Also, having to not because you used to build Negatron cloak, now you're gonna have a lot less MR in the build path to it, and plus buying pickaxe is harder than buying longsword, so on certain recalls. So
yeah,
I mean it hurts a little bit, but I still think you're probably going to see that item just I mean, it's a similar amount.
And in conclusion, this is the start of ranked season. So ranked season and split 1. So this is pretty interesting. So it says split 1. I don't know exactly what that means. This is also marks the beginning of Summoner's Rift ranked split 1. That's right. They do the thing for the rewards.
Yeah,
I just got my hopes up thinking that they were going to make 2 different seasons throughout the year. Like Season A and Season B. That would be really cool. I think that would make solo queue actually probably mean maybe a little bit more and incentivize more play, but, you know, we can't all have nice things. So you get Vex icons and Eternal capsules and other stuff. That doesn't really matter. Visual updates are obviously really nice. I do like how they look. And obviously Forge God Clash. So Forge God Clash is coming. That is really nice. Overall, though, competitive, I mean, we saw Damasha Cup end up unfolding. Diana and Gangplank both are going to be competitive adaptations, but the items aren't really changing all that much. So again, patch 12.1 leaves much to be desired. They did make 2 competitive changes, though. But Fudge, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I feel like in previous patches, I looked at the patches and I was like, probably won't change like anything really for competitive. I'm glad at least like I feel like Gangplank and Diana will actually be seen more in competitive just because of these changes, which I didn't really feel in previous patches. So I'm happy that at least Gangplank and Diana have gotten like pretty good changes. Better than standard for Riot. Okay.
And I mean, I think that pretty much does it. So obviously, what this means though is that patch 12.2 will not see any competitive changes because Riot operates on a 2-patch per competitive patch cycle. So anything that we see in the opening weeks of Lock-In, LCK, LEC, etc., that is going to start resuming really soon, we're not going to actually be seeing any sort of adjustments happen until 12.3, which is really far away. So the meta that is looking like it is in solo queue right now, barring just Diana sort of coming in, because I don't think Gangplank's going to come into solo queue, it's exactly how it's going to look for the foreseeable future. I kind of feel a little bit bad about that. I really wish that, stuff would have been changed. One of the other things that we can also talk about that apparently is happening in this patch, but obviously it is not in the notes, is the teleport change. The teleport change is supposed to be in this patch. I do not know exactly where it is, but it is supposed to be in the notes, but it's not in the notes that I have that are given to me early. So the teleport change, you already know what it is. You can only teleport to turrets for the first 14 minutes.
Yeah.
And then after 14 minutes, it turns into release teleport, and then it functions just like the old teleport, except it has 60 more seconds added onto it late game. Now, a lot of people that I've seen talk about it on Twitter and on Reddit and other places, they seem to think that this is the end of teleport. I don't think it's the end of teleport at all. I mean, every time people say it's the end of teleport, they just forget how strong teleport is when you do proper lane manipulation.
I think that this change actually helps. It actually helps defensive play or like scaling a lot more. The way you used to see teleport being used was like, for example,
you would teleport on a minion.
Yeah, you would teleport on a minion that you're diving on or something.
Yep.
And then like both mid laners teleport on the minion. One mid laner is defending with TP on the tower. The other mid laner is trying to TP on the minion.
Yes.
Now you don't see those TP on minions anymore, so it hurts the mid laners that are trying to dive. It hurts dives more. So I think that's actually an interesting thing. But I still think like TP as a spell is still was broken. I still think it's strong. Obviously it hurts like the aggressive champions more. I think this changed champions that feel like they need to get ahead, that use teleport really aggressively in early game. But I still think that it's going to be a...
And I mean, one of the other things that immediately comes to mind about teleport is, in those situations where a laner is down teleport, typically this happens in top lane, and then they're trying to rush a minion wave in, and then a teleport comes down on a minion, but the person
yes.
who's rushing it doesn't have enough HP or mana to stay, and then they just get permafrozen on.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a play that's no longer going to be possible either. So I think that for lane bullies, the teleport change actually hurts them in a lot of cases where they utilize offensive teleports on minions or defensive teleports on minions in order to skew lane phase. But ultimately, teleport is still going to be taken. For AD carries taking teleport, nothing's going to change. For mages in mid lane taking teleport, nothing's going to change. These things are just not going to change. People are just going to adapt to it. You're still going to take teleport.
Also, I'm not sure if this means you can't TP on like Zac blobs, for example. I'm not sure if that.
Yeah, well, I believe that Zac is coded as a turret, isn't he?
Maybe. I'm actually not sure how it's coded. So
okay.
If you can't TP on Zac blobs, that hurts Zac quite a bit.
Now, the other changes that apparently are not in this, are not in the notes that we have, is that Sona's getting nerfed, which I can actually understand. Sona with Moonstone Renewer is absolutely broken if you can get her into the mid and late stages of the game. She is a terror if you can actually get her there. The other champion is Rek'Sai, which I can make zero sense about because Rek'Sai is unholy bad.
I can make sense of it.
Go ahead.
A Rider played against Rek'Sai in bronze and then died multiple times to a gank from behind the wall in top lane, and then he decided Rek'Sai was broken. But also, he forgot that Elderwood Rek'Sai's coming out, so he's like messing. I don't know why he's messing with the skin sales here. But
Excellent.
Whoever did it's getting fired. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So, okay. Well, I think that probably wraps it up. Obviously, a lot of people know I've joined Cloud9. Patch note rundowns are still going to be happening on this channel, and they'll still be coming out at regular times. And sometimes they'll have guests, sometimes they won't. Hopefully, we do get more meaningful patches, and I can continue to update the solo queue tier lists and all the other good stuff on Patreon. And that is going to do it for this patch. This was super short, but I felt like we got to talk about the implications of pro play and how even a super small patch influences pro play or the lack of it. So I think that's pretty much it. And hopefully patch 12.2 features something. Also, we need a new champion. It's been a long time, hasn't it? It's been like 4 months.
Yeah, last champion was Vex, right?
Vex, yeah, in September.
Yeah.
December 3rd, I think. So we're due for a new champion. Hopefully, that's a big thing that we will eventually get access to.
Yep.
All right,
anyway,
well,
follow FUDGE on Twitter. Thank you.
What?
Bye.